In the next session, two good old friends. That's how Adrian put it last time. Will talk. First of all, the coordinator of DOORS, Adrian, will tell us about the DOORS project, and then Mustafa will continue with the details of the bridge BS project. And participants should not hesitate to write any questions they have for the last synergies session. And now, floor is yours, Adrian.
Well, thank you very much, Barish. Thank you, all of you. It's been an honor being here at the kickoff of Bridge, of our assisted project. Thank you very much, Ziggy. I think it's extremely interesting that we continue our cooperation. You are a key player, the key player in bringing the strategic research and innovation agenda of the Black Sea into a strategic document, and I'm very happy that we work together now, all of us, to transform this into reality. Before saying anything else, just introducing myself, I'm Adrian Stanica. I'm director of the Romanian National Institute of Marine Geology and Geoecology, GeoEcomar, and I also coordinate the Horizon 2020 DOORS sister project of Bridge. And before going into the brief presentation of DOORS, Ziggy, I'd like to thank you for raising the ball with a few quite provocative questions. So I hope, Barish, you don't have anything against my trying to say a few words, a draft reply coming from either from all our side and some from the DOORS project. I think it is, well, it's a return to the good old times when we met in person, and Ziggy would always ask very important questions that we needed to deal with. And this is good because it keeps us focusing. So yes, we do live in times of very quick changes. Everything changes with full speed. From technology, everything changes in terms of how humanity and how the social order is changing. The climate has been constantly changing with an accelerated speed during the past decades. What is also important, yes, we are now going through a pandemic, and it's true. But what we need to take into account is the specific recent history of the Black Sea. So except for the notable example of Turkey, all the other countries have undergone extremely significant, and I can say extremely painful and with catastrophic impacts in terms of social economic changes in the past 100 years. Our countries went from an economic system to another, and then they tried, so as I said, except for Turkey, then we tried to get back to a new world. So what we can say about most of the Black Sea society is that we are resilient, and we have adapted, and we shall always adapt. The problem, nevertheless, is how do we adapt to these changes? How do we adapt to the existing challenges and opportunities? So this is where us, the scientific community around the Black Sea and the scientific community throughout Europe and other countries around the world, this is what we need to bring to the Black Sea communities, to the Black Sea countries, to the Black Sea people. We need to bring hope. This is probably the most important thing. We need to bring know-how. We need to bring knowledge, we need to bring solutions, we need to bring awareness, and probably besides hope, opening the sea of opportunities to the people around the Black Sea is absolutely crucial. One of the things that I have noted, and I keep repeating in various meetings, is the fact that nowadays the surface of planet Mars is definitely better known than the bottoms of the seas and then the global ocean in itself, in its complexity. Among all of them, the Black Sea, even though a smaller sea in comparison with the oceans, is still a huge unknown. And through our projects, we try to make it understood, to understand how it evolves, to try to understand how we can live together with the Black Sea ecosystems by using them without affecting them. And this is very important. Another very important question, I think, from Ziggy is one that I really enjoy a lot, trying to find solutions to how to overcome thematic silos. We all know that we need to work in interdisciplinary teams because it's the only way we can find solutions to things that classical science could not deal with so far. But the main thing when we meet, so in general practice, when people meet, they say, okay, we're gonna be in this interdisciplinary. So geologists will stay at the right, biologists at the left, oceanographers in the middle, or stuff like this. How do we bring people together? And I think I found the answer to this question reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, where Douglas Adams stated that after 6 million years, the biggest computer in this universe that tried to find the question, to the answer to the question, which is the truth about life, universe, and everything, came with the answer 42. That had no meaning. Why? Because the question was not carefully and thoughtfully created. So this is what we need to do now. We need to bring together good ideas and try to formulate our scientific questions in such a manner that will make people work together. This is the only way we can promote interdisciplinary work, by putting on questions that need bits of answer from everybody. And yes, it is extremely important that we focus on training. We focus on the training of those who will need to benefit from the Black Sea. And it's not just the young professionals, it's not just the business, but also the policy makers. We all try to have programs in which we pass our information to the policy maker. But there's another thing to it, Ziggy. I think that making our work known to the public, raising public awareness, and having a more educated public will bring it on to the public, to the policy makers, to the politicians. A well-educated and trained public will demand politicians to take measures. So we as scientists, we need to come from both directions. So direct communication with the policymakers, but also I think it is extremely important that we push the people, we present the situation to the people. We have a trained and educated Black Sea general community that at their turn, the people will ask the politicians to pay attention to the Black Sea. And this is more or less what I wanted to say. I will go now briefly to the presentation of doors. I hope you can see the slides. Please let me know if it's okay.
Looks good, Adrian.
Okay, so I thank you very much. So DOORS stands for Developing Optimal and Open Research Support for the Black Sea. It's a project, it's the sister project of Bridge. We both kicked off. So actually the project started on June 1st, which is a month ago. Time flies. And I won't, because Barish already introduced our trip together. What I really think is important is the kickoff meeting of Black Sea Bridge. There back in December 2019, when we had discussions, and we started seeing how each of our teams can build two completely distinct and yet complementary projects. Why? Because there are so many things to be done. The implementation of the three of the strategic research and innovation agenda is so tough that we do need two projects that need to work close together towards the implementation. So even though it's not here, it's in my heart, and we must mention again the kickoff meeting of Black Sea Bridge Black Sea Connect, sorry, at the in December 2019. So it was, to cut a long story short, last year it was the year of proposal writing, submission, and then negotiation, and here we are now. So what do we want to do? Of course, we want to implement the strategic agenda. We want to make it operational. We want to support the successful Blue Growth implementation, and we want to do it through three key programs. The first program is the development of a system of systems, which will be a platform grouping all the sorts of data from in situ, Earth observation, and model data to give the stakeholders on the Black Sea, of course, to give stakeholders access to all types of parameters of the Black Sea, from geological, biological, physical, and chemical. So besides the system of systems, we have the second key program, the Blue Growth Accelerator. We try to identify which sectors have a great potential for innovation and where shall we focus our expertise to provide them with professional support. We will have strong exchanges between ourselves as scientists, entrepreneurs, and policymakers around the Black Sea, fighting to develop specific blue growth sectors. And the answer, the following key programs, is the answer to the question to whom and with whom. And that's the knowledge transfer and training program that aims at bringing together different actors on science and policy to promote a culture of openness, share best practice and knowledge, which is crucial to build capacity to address impacts by engaging stakeholders from the very beginning till the end of the project and onwards. So this is why all the structure of our work packages follows this three programs type. So as I said, the system of systems, bringing in the knowledge about the Black Sea, feeding the information to the entrepreneurs, allowing the development of blue growth, of true blue growth in cooperation with science, and educating the stakeholders and those who need to take over the work and transformation of the Black Sea into a Black Sea open to true blue growth. Again, we have 4 specific objectives. First is the common understanding. So the first one supports us in creating a common language, create a harmonized set of methodologies for data acquisition. So the idea is to collect best practices. We don't want to reinvent hot water. We want to bring in existing best practices worldwide to enable all the countries to use fair and open data principles, which are elementary for a revolutionary progress of the society and economics. All these harmonized set of methodologies, they are really the basis for the creation of the system of systems. So this is the point of objective 2, integrate interdisciplinary scientific knowledge to address impacts of human-induced activities and climate change. This is what we need to understand the dynamics of the Black Sea ecosystems from a source to sink, river mouth to deeper part of the sea approach. The third specific objective of DOORS is to try to realize, to understand the ecosystem services and blue growth sectors potential and provide support for entrepreneurship. So this deals with our second program, the development, the creation of a blue growth accelerator to promote opportunities for sustainable business development in blue economy sectors. And we really work, and we started working already on how to promote synergies, how to organize training and mentoring schemes and facilitate access to investors. This is very important to bring to this area best practice, knowledge, skills, and trying to develop new opportunities that would integrate new and emerging sectors like aquaculture, but marine renewables and blue biotechnologies. And last but not least of the four objectives deals with bringing the Black Sea environment closer to society and society closer to the Black Sea environment by increasing societal awareness and stewardship of the Black Sea environment. Our knowledge transfer and training program is elementary, is key to implementing this connection between the Black Sea and the bordering communities. And the knowledge transfer and training will create mechanisms to enable education, support exchange and use of scientific knowledge. We are all scientists, but we all want to see that the results of our work are well used and implemented. So I won't go into detail. This is an overall presentation. So we start from having a well-managed plan to bring in together the harmonized data and to work on building the system of systems, connecting it to the Blue Growth Accelerator and to the knowledge transfer and training. And everything needs to be done by taking care of how we engage with stakeholders and on the permanent dialogue and discussion with the relevant stakeholders. Who are we? We are 37 partners from 16 countries. All the riparian countries around the Black Sea, the four relevant ERICs for marine science, plus Danubius RI, which is on its way to become an ERIC quite soon, hopefully. We have not just the strongest institutions around the Black Sea, but also from Europe, and some of them that bring in their global expertise. And this is very important. How do we work together? We had created these teams that bring together best expertise around the Black Sea and in Europe, and each work package has a co-leadership, which for us is very important to have people from the Black Sea region working together with people from other countries and seas. It makes things simpler for everybody, more efficient, and it's a dual learning process, which is important. We had planned our expected impacts going from the direct outcomes, trying to look at what we want to have at the end of the project, but also working to put in place a legacy on which to build. And I thank Ziggy for mentioning all the opportunities. We are all knowledgeable of the fact that we need to have, it is a must that Doors and Bridge are successful. They will become the ground on which future plans will be implemented to support the Black Sea to be healthy and productive. And that's my presentation. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian, for the great summary. And now Mustafa Yücel will tell us about the Bridge PS project. Thank you, Mustafa.
Thank you, Barış. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
very well.
Okay, that's good. So let me start sharing my screen. So welcome everyone to our virtual Plenary, and I will be actually, I'm very honored to present our project Bridge Black Sea to you all. So the long, actually the long open name of this project is Advancing Black Sea Research and Innovation to Co-Develop Blue Growth within Resilient Ecosystems. So Adrian gave a very nice outline of doors, and you have heard previously from Ziggy and Patricia and Wendy and Barish, where we came from, how we got to this point. So one of the ideas we had, particularly while drafting this project, was to give the focus on the ecosystems of the Black Sea and the resilience of the Black Sea ecosystems and the services that this sea provides that is supporting the communities around the Black Sea. So as you will see in our presentation throughout, this is the main emphasis of Bridge BS, and I'm very honored to be the speaker of this distinguished consortium. Just as the Doors of Bridge has many partners, both from the region, from Black Sea region, but also Sciences International. So there are Black Sea experts all over the world. Of course, it wasn't possible to involve everyone, but main actors, players, strong institutions throughout Europe are involved in Bridge as well. And you can see here our partners. We have 33 partners, more than 300 investigators are involved in Bridge. And we are really happy. We are really looking forward to working with all of them in the next 4.5 years. So let's emphasize this again. This is a new chapter in the implementation of the Black Sea Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. Of course, this is a long story dating back to many different collaborative projects that happened in the Black Sea region in the 80s, 90s, especially early 2000s with the framework programs. But this specific, let's say, chapter of the Black Sea cooperation was really supported by the European Commission. And in 2017, as Ziggy explained, an initiative was launched called the Blue Growth Initiative for Research and Innovation in the Black Sea. There were many milestones along this process, such as the declaration of the vision paper, which led to the drafting of the SIRIA. SIRIA is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. Then the Black Sea Connect CSA was launched to support this process, which is still going on. It was kicked off. And an important milestone happened at the end of 2020, which was the launch of the Black Sea Young Ambassadors. And this year's highlight will probably be the joint launch of Doors and Bridge. And as also Wendy outlined, we see these three initiatives, especially a joint package funded by Horizon program, European Union's Horizon 2020 program, a very large package, which will be, of course, managed and steered in very close cooperation. So the main emphasis of Bridge is on the multiple stresses that are affecting Black Sea ecosystems. So this project has a more biological, biogeochemical, and ecosystem focus. As many of you know, Black Sea is under very different stressors, multiple stressors. One of them, of course, warming, global warming is affecting Black Sea more than other European sea basins, which is also the case for the Mediterranean Sea. I think the circulation dynamics in the Black Sea, for example, a specific physical feature of the Black Sea is called the cold intermediate layer, which is a very important, let's say, physical feature for its productivity, for its biogeochemical cycles. This layer is disappearing now, with consequences that will be explored in Bridge. Oxygen is being lost at alarming rates in the Black Sea. Black Sea is already the Earth's largest oxygen-free marine basin. This has been so as a result of its geological history, but climate change plus anthropogenic factors is not helping with this situation as well. As you can see in different publications, data sets produced by our partners, the Black Sea is losing its oxygen in the past 50 years. So the oxic habitat, that's the surface of the Black Sea, is shrinking, with consequences that we will possibly field in the next decade. So this will also be explored and actually documented and predicted in Bridge BS. And of course, we will consider different stressors: pollution, acidification, overfishing, sector activities based on the sea and on the shore, invasive species, and eutrophication. So our approach, of course, will be getting its inspiration from the actions of the strategic research and innovation agenda, and also using the agenda, we have based our concept on 4, let's say, premises. We first consider Black Sea, that in the Black Sea, ecosystem service dynamics must be predictable and resilient to all these stressors, so that Black Sea can cope with these stressors, because some of them we know are not avoidable. Risks due to climate change and management actions should be well defined. Stimulation of the blue growth potential requires science support to startups in close relation to resource managers, stakeholders, and end users. So this will be one of the main stakeholder engagement approach in Bridge BS. And the last, let's say, fundamental concept we thought while drafting was that populations bordering the Black Sea must recognize the importance of the Black Sea to their quality of life. So we have started to build our proposal around these, let's say, fundamental issues. And the project essentially has 3 nodes. These nodes are, as you will see, they're also a collection of work packages, but it's essentially the 3 things that, 3 main things that the project will deliver. The first node is called the service dynamics, and it's about maintaining a safe operating space in the Black Sea, which is also capturing the overall objective of our project, which is the advanced Black Sea's marine research innovation to co-develop blue growth pathways under multiple stressors. And to do so, we try to develop an ecosystem-based management framework to enable policy uptake and foster citizen engagement. So that's why our first action or set of actions will be about defining and maintaining a safe operating space if we want to develop blue economy in the Black Sea. The second node, we call it blue growth incubators. It's about boosting innovation and blue growth. And the third node, third but not least, is about empowering citizens, engaging policy and society. As you can see here, these nodes, they include several work packages each. Work package 1 is about knowledge base for the Black Sea. Work package 2 is about predicting ecosystems under multiple stressors. Work package 3 is about resilience. 4 is about adaptive management. So they all together comprise node 1, service dynamics. The main objective of node 1 is therefore to assess the status and develop the multidisciplinary understanding and predictive tools on ecosystem functioning necessary to implement adaptive management. The second node, blue growth incubators, will aim to provide an operational platform to translate scientific ideas into business opportunities and stimulate the ocean economy in the Black Sea. And developing smart observation and technologies is part of this node. Accelerating business models through specific accelerators and incubators is part of this node as well. And also the socioeconomics and social innovation actions are part of this node. The last node aims to support the development and fostering of a cohesive, knowledgeable, and literate Black Sea international community. And these 2 work packages, it constitutes this node. So work package 8 and 9, one focusing on policy, another one on capacity building and education. They are huge work packages. Altogether, they establish our third node. Of course, all these nodes and work packages are going to be coordinated by a management work package. So let me introduce you this special group of people that we are looking forward to work with. These are our work package leaders. They have different expertise from marine science to socioeconomics to resilience science, altogether to economics and oceanography policy. We have leaders. Also, we do have co-leaders for each of our work packages. Again, we try to maintain diversity, representation of the region, but also involving international expertise for each work package. We also have specific objectives, which I'd like to maybe highlight a few of them. There's not much time to go over each of our objectives, but for example, one of the key objectives of the service dynamics node, the first node, will be to assemble knowledge and harmonize methodologies on the multiple stressors that we define. As you can see here, there are 9 multiple stressors that we will focus. Then a development of modeling tools will be another specific objectives, assessing the resilience and developing adaptive management decision support tools involving both models, but also involving artificial intelligence-based tools will be a part of special objectives of this node. Among the specific objectives of Node 2, we can list, for example, analyzing the socioeconomic impacts of multiple stressors on local communities and stimulating collaboration among research and innovation actors, using, also getting inspiration from new marine-based technologies. So these are going to be some of the specific objectives we will try to pursue in our work packages. And in the third node, of course, we have many actually different objectives, but developing education and training, as Ziggy indicated, will be one of our chief focus, developing ocean literacy. But also in our last specific objective, we have aimed to ensure sustainability of all this work. Bridge, the work of Bridge, also the previous work that precedes Bridge. We are aiming to actually make all this work. We are establishing a virtual network of science for resilient Black Sea. So this is going to happen hopefully in the very end of the project. So we are also looking, even now we are looking beyond what's going to happen in 5 years. So in the next few moments, I would like to highlight you further some of the, let's say, special features of Bridge. Of course, it's impossible to present you everything we plan to do, but hopefully over the course of next months, you will be in some of our stakeholder meetings to hear more. Of course, usually these sort of capacity building education work packages, they are work package 7, 8, 9, so they come the last, but in Bridge, they are the most important actually set of actions for us. We have a great basis, to be honest, to build on with the Black Sea Connect's young ambassadors, which have already generated a lot of actual impetus. They have given us many different ideas on what is needed at local level, what does young people need. So we have built actually the capacity building work package of Bridge around this, but also we will also have many new actions. So we will have a diverse set of actions for the youth, for children, also for policymakers, which includes trainings on board our research vessels, education on shore-based communities. We are trying to design new programs with our ambassadors, which are possibly going to be expanded as well with the support of Bridge. And of course, we will actually educate new researchers who will take over this Black Sea story further after us. So that's always going to be in the forefront of all of our activities. Developing talent, retaining talent in the Black Sea, and making sure they actually stay in the Black Sea countries and develop their own programs. Another big target of Bridge is, of course, policy. This is a science for policy project. Every little action, every subtask and task, it's actually designed to support policy. And here in Bridge, of course, as I said, we will be working very closely with DOORS and Connect. And as a cluster of Horizon projects, then we will be supporting the common maritime agenda of the Black Sea, which is the main maritime agenda, blue economy agenda of the Black Sea. And altogether, we will strive for this science for policy vision, but we have already actually started to contribute different policies at national level. We are giving regular input to our ministries, for example, as they develop new, let's say, policy or sub-policies. We are working very closely also with the European Commission officials when they develop different actually guidelines or new initiatives such as the Mission Oceans. We try to regularly give input. So Bridge and of course DOORS will provide with us new data, new knowledge, and new technologies so that we can diversify and we can improve the policy input we are going to give, both on European but also national level. So that's also very important. Another important feature that Bridge BS will introduce will be this sort of pilot site approach. So we will, of course, study the Black Sea as a whole, but we will bring some of our work to local and regional level. And to do so, we have actually selected 7 pilot sites. We call them pilot sites. And we have preliminarily defined some of the important ecosystem services for those regions. And with the help of the living labs that are going to be established in each of these pilot sites, we will further actually reanalyze and redefine the services that people find important for their communities, for their sectors. So we will actually be improving and developing all these ecosystem service estimations. Actually, based on these exercises, we will then start developing our, let's say, knowledge portal, where we will specifically gather information, data, predictions about the 9 multiple stresses. As I said, Bridge is about focusing on multiple stresses. So we will be focusing on these at the pilot site level, but also on the Black Sea Basin wide level. One of the main goals of our particular work package 1 to have more green actual boxes like this. We want the Black Sea regions be more prepared for the upcoming risks with the multiple stresses. As Ziggy said, we don't want seasonal events like in the Marmara Sea. So we want to be ready against all these risks, including the seasonal. It can be other risks. So we will also start in the next phase, next few months of our project, assessing also the readiness of the Black Sea regions to these multiple stressors. Then using the data we collated and with the new data that we will generate, we will be actually developing and using quite actually complex both oceanographic, hydrophysical, and ecosystem models. So these models will include both biogeochemical cycles, which we call the lower trophic level models, but also we will have higher trophic level models. So we will be able to actually predict the impact of climate change when it interacts with multiple stressors, what will happen to fisheries, for example. And we will be able to do this at the regional pilot site level. Here you see actually the collection of our mathematical models that will be employed in different scales in the Black Sea. So with regard to especially ecosystem modeling, Black Sea, the Bridge Black Sea project is a quite advanced and let's say special project. But we will further build on that. In work package 3 and 4, we will be developing state-of-art resilience analysis. We will be developing adaptive management strategies using both data, model outputs from work package 2, but also using novel artificial intelligence-based methodologies. So all these tools will be deployed to predict the effect of multiple stresses in the Black Sea. We will be also doing new observations. Of course, one of the idea behind new observations to elevate data readiness with respect to certain stressors. From our table, you will recall that some of the stressors, the data readiness for some of the stressors are red or yellow. We don't have sufficient data to assess. Even such a risk exists with regard to special multiple stressors. So we will be deploying new technologies with the also help of our technologically advanced partners. We will be bringing in new technologies to the Black Sea. We will be testing and increasing their readiness for future deployments. Again, as was discussed, joint cruises with the DOORS project will be a particularly interesting and exciting feature of the Bridge project. Here you see Bilim and Mare Nigrum of GeoEcomar, Bilim of METU, but we will also have other research vessels such as Marmara of TÜBİTAK and Academic of IOBAS. So all these research vessels, we will organize joint cruises with the participation of course, young people and young professionals and students. We will be developing sensors tailored for the Black Sea. Also, we will be developing more efficient, fast methodologies employing eDNA or acoustics. For example, more rapid assessments of ecological status for the implementation of MSFT or for other national policies. These sort of assessments are needed. So we will be developing also new molecular-based assessment methodologies for the Black Sea. So there are many actually different actions which there's not much time to give you all of them, but some of these technologies and developments will hopefully will feed business uptake. So this is one of the things we aim at Work Package 7. This is our work package tailored for startups, business people, and this is also where we really aim a very close cooperation with the Common Maritime Agenda implementation, because over there we have already a very nice collection of stakeholders from business and startups, and so this will be in close collaboration with our ministries and business associations. So the impact altogether, of course, we strive to implement the Syria. Here you see how we try to address different actions of the Syria. Our stakeholder strategy is quite diverse. We have defined already key actors, context setters, and advocates. So we will be targeting them in our communication activities. One of the, again, a special features of Bridge project will be establishment of a Black Sea Helix community. So this is thanks to our partner Crowd Helix from Ireland. They are already quite experienced with setting up helixes all over Europe. These are more innovation and science-driven helixes, and we will be setting up a special dedicated helix for the Black Sea in the next few years. So this is a very snapshot of our work plan. It's a lot of work, as you can imagine, but there is one also special feature of our project. It's going to last 4.5 years, 54 months, and we aim to actually dedicate the first 6 months only to policy and capacity building. So we will not be still doing observations in the 4th year. They will stop at some point. We will make sure all these results of the Syria implementation, different experiments, different model outputs, we will make sure that they are actually uptaken by policy or youth. So that's why we have dedicated the last 6 months of our project entirely to this. Okay, our coordination team is also diverse. It's a combination of youth and experience, let's say, just as the team of Italy that won the Euro last night. So congratulations to all our Italian colleagues, by the way. We are also blessed to have a very experienced, actually, and very impactful advisory board. We also thank for their agreement. The head of unit of the DGRTD is a member of our advisory board, with the director of the Black Sea Commission, a member of the mission board, Mr. Molde-Venao, Mr. Latraon, scientific director of the Mercator and CIMEMS, Mr. Miguel Bernal, senior fishery officer at GFCM, Mr. Gavras, head of policy and strategy, Black Sea Trade and Development Bank, Professor Allen from Plymouth Marine Laboratory, expert on ecosystem modeling, and Dr. Ana Noronha, executive director of the Siena Viva in Portugal. So they also comprise different expertises from science to policy and economics, which will be a great support to us throughout the implementation of the bridge. So with this, I thank you very much again for your attention. Please start following us in Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are following. And lastly, I leave you with this interesting video of dolphins. This is taken from 2 weeks ago. So as you can actually as you can imagine, 2 weeks ago we were in the Marmara Sea, but a couple of times we crossed the Bosphorus, and also we have conducted experiments and investigations in the Black Sea. This was actually a very special time for us, because seeing the Sea of Marmara in that situation, coming to Black Sea was in a way, it was like a blessing. I mean, you can still see the interior of the sea. You could see dolphins, and all of a sudden you actually understand how quickly we can lose even the shrinked oxygen healthy habitat that we have in Black Sea now. So at least for those of us who was in the Sea of Marmara this summer, seeing Black Sea like this is still was a good experience, and we hope to keep it this way, even if possible further improve the conditions of the Black Sea. So with our dolphins, as we approach from the Black Sea to the Bosphorus, I thank you again, and we are ready for any questions and input that you would like to give. So thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa, for the details on the Bridge BS project.